Jam. Get your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Alright. Welcome to.
Hello and welcome to another episode of RamCenter. I'm your co-host James Jackson.
And as always, I'm Spencer McKercher. J-Man, how you doing? How's the week so far?
It's going well. I'm riding off a high. A lot of good things happening in Westchester sports.
A lot of good things happening in Westchester sports. Up and down. This thing.
What's
Look
this?
at this beautiful thing, man.
I can't believe we missed it. Much like the NCAA tournament committee must have with our field hockey girls.
Unbelievable. We'll get to that a little later. We have a great show on tap, and I'm excited to get started. Now switching to start this episode of RamCenter, our football team pulled out a surprisingly close victory this past weekend at Millersville. What seemed like was going to be an easy win for the Golden Rams going into the game turned into a hard-fought battle through 4 hard-fought quarters. Westchester opened up the scoring first when Andrew Chegia drilled a 27-yard field goal to give the Dub C the 3-0 early lead. Millersville would answer with a field goal of their own at the end of the first quarter, and in the second quarter, they scored on a 3-yard pass to give them a 10-3 lead. The second half was very back and forth, but going into the fourth quarter, Millersville had the surprising 24-17 advantage. In the final frame, that's when Westchester's defense came up huge, blanking the Millersville offense in the final quarter and allowing quarterback Paul Dooley and company to come storming back. Westchester put up 10 points in the final 10 minutes of the game to secure the victory. Dooley had a strong day overall, going 15 for 30 with 238 yards through the air and 1 touchdown, while also picking up 81 yards on the ground to help lead Westchester to a victory. Running back Jarrell Utter had a relatively quiet game by his standards, but still had a solid 85-yard rushing and a touchdown. This game put Elder over 1,000 yards throughout the season and over 3,000 yards in his career. He's now moving into all-time in team history. Defensive end George Shipp was the captain of the defense in this game, registering 9 tackles, including 4 tackles for a loss. Our attention now shifts to Saturday as they compete for the PSAC championship game held right here in Federal Stadium. Jay, it's going to be a great championship game. Number 1 team in the country, IUP, travels all the way across the state here to Westchester. What are you looking for, man?
I'm looking for a fast start by the offense. It's when we don't get off to quick starts is when we really struggle, and you can see that against Millersville. Got a field goal, but then Millersville were able to take a 10-3 lead after that. Paul Dooley's got to take command of this game, but the defense is playing really solid.
Solid, and that's the thing. I'm more worried about IUP's defense. They have the number 1 best defense in the league. They're only allowing 65 yards on the ground. Going in, our hopeful Heisman winner, D2, Jarrell Utter, who I'm going to see. That's what I'm interested to see. If he can have at least 100 yards, I think we have a shot.
Well, I think they got to feed him early in offense.
Absolutely.
Establish the offense through him, and it seems to all fall together. It allows Paul Dooley to get much more comfortable in his offense throwing too. Right. As long as we do that, I think we'll be all right.
And I think over the last few games where we started out slow, it's because we went in thinking we're going to win. This game, I don't think we're thinking that. I think we're thinking to pull off the upset, and I think going forward, I think that's going to be strong, and it's all a matter of starting off strong for us.
Packed Federal Stadium, right?
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. Well, the women's soccer team is trying to bounce back from a tough loss in the PSAC championship game this past Saturday as they fell to East Stroudsburg by a score of 1-0. The game was scoreless through the first half, although each side did have their fair share of opportunities. But a great diving save by goalkeeper McKenna Mullen helped keep the Lady Rams in it early. Westchester applied constant pressure to that ESU defense. However, the Lady Warriors scored off a deflection right in front of goal that came on the back end of a free kick in the 74th minute, and that was the margin they needed for the victory. The loss didn't derail the Rams too much, though. They still earned the number 1 overall seed in this year's NCAA tournament, which is again held at home, and await the winner of Bloomsburg and Gannon in the second round as they have the first round bye. Either way, the team will face a regular PSAC opponent. And Spencer, this is something we've seen all too familiar with our soccer teams, getting the home field advantage and then getting stifled with a loss. How do they bounce back in the national tournament?
I think we have to bounce back. I mean, it was a surprising loss to East Stroudsburg, who won their 5th straight PSAC women's soccer tournament. going in, we had the home field, we're the #1 seed. Now we have the #1 seed in the entire country, in a region in the NCAAs. We have to take full advantage of that. I think it's, again, just like our football team, it's starting off early and strong. If we can get a goal early, I think we're set.
Defense isn't the problem here, right? Because
Right.
the games we lose 1-0, 2-1.
Right.
Close margins and low-scoring games. We need to find our boots, and we need to score early and often, like you said.
Right, and it's nice that we're going to be playing a PSAC foe no matter what in Gannon or Bloomsburg. So we'll see going forward.
I mean, having it at home really helps, right?
Absolutely.
Now, we talked about losses in the PSAC championship game, but we're going to sit down in the studio with a team who did not lose in the PSAC championship game. We catch up with the field hockey team.
Guys, we're sitting here with Rachel Toppy and Morgan Snodgrass, 2 senior field hockey players, after they just brought home this beautiful looking thing, a PSAC tournament trophy as a champion in field hockey this year. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome, not a problem. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit, get to know you guys outside of the field.
Yeah.
So talk to me, where are you guys from, majors, all that good stuff?
Well, we're both from South Jersey, actually.
Okay, what town?
I grew up around Ocean City, New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm from Glassboro.
Got you, sweet.
Ironically, me and Toffee have been playing field hockey together since we were in 7th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
the way
All
to
the way.
Westchester.
Yep,
That's amazing.
yep. Yeah, so we played on club together, and then she's a little more north of me in Jersey, but our schools at some points would come and cross each other, our high
nice.
schools, and play. And then we've been just playing on our club team together, going to different festivals and tournaments ever since we were 12, 13.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it's
a
nice
long
to
time.
actually go all the way to
All the way,
college,
right.
and we didn't even realize it either. So
No, we didn't.
we
Either
didn't
way,
think
we
it
were
was
going to
gonna
the same
happen.
college.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
both being recruited by the same 2 schools, and we were like, well, either way, we're going to end up together
Right.
some way or another.
Right.
So
It's that
but-
1-2 package.
Yeah, exactly. But she's definitely the #1.
Oh,
We're all #1s here.
that's true. Yeah, obviously, right there it is. So yeah, just talk about what major you guys.
I'm an exercise science major with a concentration in pre-chiropractic,
Sweet.
and then I have a double minor in Spanish and nutrition.
Ooh, tough. Too
Girl.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a respiratory therapy major.
Nice. And what are you both trying to get into then after graduation?
Well, for me, I have to go on to school after Westchester
good
and go
stuff.
on to a doctor program for chiropractic, but I'm kind of looking into possibly going further after that and maybe
Nice.
going into osteopathic school or maybe further into the medical field in the sense of a general doctor.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, I don't have to go that far. I should just get a job right out of school. Once
Nice.
I'm done, I'll probably start looking at jobs and stuff in the spring.
Scary.
And it's scary.
Scary, real
Scary.
scary. Yeah,
But I'm
we're right
ready,
there.
really ready to graduate. So
She'll be adulting a lot.
I'm gonna be adulting.
Before me. a lot before me.
Good luck with the adults.
well, thank you.
So I like to focus more on the field. Spencer likes to focus off the field. So we're going to talk about your season as a whole. We'll start with the regular season before we get to playoff time. So the regular season started off well. Then you guys hit a little bit of a skid, a little bit of a losing streak. And then you guys recovered very nicely at the end. Talk about, as seniors and as captains, the role you guys played in helping to right the ship and make sure your season got back on track.
I mean, I think it really started at practice. When we were going down that road, we really had to get the team together in a locker room and just say, listen, guys, all right, we had our couple rough patches. It's time to get our stuff together and put it out on the field, do 110%,
Right.
practice like you're going to play in the game. And I think that's we kind of all looked at each other. We're like, yeah, we need to fix this.
Yeah, it was a key component this year with us. I feel constantly reminding ourselves at practice, you're going to practice like you're playing in the next game, and it's for us, I think it was a big eye-opener the past 4 years. We didn't really understand when our coach kept saying to us, seniors don't have a long time left. You don't have a long time left. And the next thing you know, it's here.
There it is.
But what I liked about this year was it wasn't a true focus on the four seniors that are here, our senior class. It was a true focus on our squad as a whole. We all have relationships with each other from freshman to senior. And I truly think that adversity truly makes it builds your character and makes you a better player in the end. And I think our team unfortunately did have to get a little taste of that in our mouth at one point, and we did, and we didn't like it. We didn't like it.
We did not.
And you bounced back beautifully. It looked like, from the outside looking in, it seemed like a very smooth bounce back. You guys noticed when your rough skid happened, and then you came right back. So talk about in the locker room how that change happened so quickly, how you guys righted that.
Well, we just kind of had to emphasize be ourselves. So in the locker room, we would dance and play loud music, and like that's how we would get pumped up before the game. And then the coach comes in and like gives us her speech, and then that just gets us even more pumped up just to go out and like play. So I think it started there. Like we needed to we need to remember how to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it happened. Right after that rough patch, we remembered that we're a team. We're out here to have fun and like go out and win a championship. So let's get our stuff together.
The championship's pretty fun, right?
Yeah. We joked always that it was like business. Like it was taking care of a business trip when you're on the road, and it's just taking care of business when you're on the field. But it really truly is that some college students and college athletes get so wrapped up in the sense of that, you know, it's all work, it's no play. And it's like, I think this year it took us a moment, but we realized like it's also play, and we need to enjoy it while we can.
Right.
I'll tell you what, man, it really makes me miss playing sports.
Right, man,
doesn't it?
exactly, dude, 100%. You guys mentioned now coming together from the freshman class, junior class, everyone was close. We sound that sounds very familiar from last week's interview with the volleyball team.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't look at classes. Right. So what made this team so strong? What came together with friendships? I mean, are we hanging out obviously outside of the field a lot? Like what are we doing outside?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. We do a lot of bonding stuff in the beginning of the season, like during our preseason, and
went to Hershey Park.
Yeah, we do a lot of fun stuff. We go apple picking. Like our coach likes to show that like, you know, you don't always have to be best friends on the team, but like you do have to tolerate each other at some point. But when you do things like this, it actually makes like friendships possible.
Right.
And you don't always have to see, like when I was a freshman, I was like kind of scared of the seniors a little bit. Like I didn't know, I always thought they were just a lot older, and you know, didn't always seem to care sometimes. But that's not the case, I believe, with our class.
I think that was our goal this year, just to make sure, like, make the freshmen and everyone feel comfortable, like, coming to us with things.
Right.
Because, like, I mean, it is scary being a freshman coming in. Like, I was scared.
Yeah.
Like, we all had rough patches your freshman year. Who hasn't?
Right.
But just, like, being that, like, ear to somebody, like, hey, like, I'm here if you need me. Like,
I also believe that, like, we're one of the teams, well, at least one of the teams I've ever played on, like, for field hockey. I mean, we've been playing for so long. We've been on club, high school, middle school, etc. But, like, we definitely encourage everyone just to be themselves.
Right.
Like, so if you have a different, like, you love to dance, like, I love to dance. So, like, I'm always the one who's dancing. But, like, we have other people who, like, sit and listen to music. And, like, that's their thing. That's their game warm-up. Like, so it's a comfortable space, and that's, I think, one of our coaches' main goals is that for everyone on the team to actually be comfortable with who they are and in their own skin.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you guys are talking about camaraderie as a whole team. Let's talk about this camaraderie right here. How was it much easier on the field since you guys knew each other, basically grew up together, played field hockey your whole lives? Did it make it easier, like as captains and as friends on the field, to go out and get business done, as you guys say?
I think so.
Yeah.
Even though we play on the opposite side of the field, but
We
I
really
feel
do.
like, but I feel like if something was going on, like we would look to each other and be like, hey, listen, like get your head in the game, like you're doing fine, like yeah, it was one bad play, but pick your head up, keep going.
We have our, like, I want to say, like, small special moments on the field sometimes where, like, we look at each other and know that, like, one of us is going to deliver. And a lot of the time it's her on the offensive end, and you know, I'm like, when she scores, like, the first person I look to is just to give her a high five. Or, like, in the last game, she scored the last winning goal and literally jumped right into my arms.
I saw a video of that, yeah.
It's just, she's definitely one of the most celebrated offensive players in Westchester's history here for field hockey, but also she was the National Player of the Year last year. And it's like, she will never sit here and tell you that. She's one of the most humble people you'll ever meet, and that's where I think a lot of our underclassmen have, like, looked to her, because she's, like, the idol on the field.
Right.
I'm more so the person off the field. We have different different roles that we play as captains too, and it's just like we complement each other in that sense.
And speaking on that, like, yeah, I might be more of the on the field type of player who, like, performs, but, like, she's, like, off the field, like, does a lot with our teammates and, like, really, like, being there for them. Like, also, like, a mom, I would say.
Yeah.
So, like, she's always there helping anybody out that she can, so.
Right. Well, talk about those roles a little bit. Your role is more off the field. What does that entail?
I mean, I'm definitely more of, like, the fundamental type player, and Tapi has a lot of more finesse. That's where we mean, like, by on the field.
Yeah.
But with me, like, off the field, I handle a lot of the things, like personal situations with, like, some underclassmen, or knowing that they have someone to talk to or always run to. Sometimes they're not always comfortable with every person on the team, and I always established that when the first day they walked through the door, that, like, even though I was older, like, I was never going to judge, and I would always be there to have their back for anything. And I handle more of that kind of stuff, and, like, what we're doing for, like, team dinner and stuff like that.
But even that, but you're still doing a lot
I'm
on the field.
still doing a lot on the field though too.
That's awesome.
You guys obviously won the PSAC tournament, defeating the national champion or defending national champion in the process. Let's talk about the preparation leading up to those PSAC games, especially the championship game. Did your preparation change from regular season to postseason?
No, I don't think it did at all. I think we just knew we had to pay attention to the little details at practice, making sure the balls were hitting on cage and not going wide, making sure our corners were precise, just making sure our play in general, again, having fun, but at the same time knowing what we need to do to win a game.
Right.
Yep, I agree with her there. I definitely think the attitude walking into the PSAC semifinals, at least from the vibe I picked up, it was the most insane thing I've probably ever felt from my team. I could feel everyone kind of radiating, and I felt no nerves, which was great.
I didn't
we
either.
just walked on there knowing we had to take care of business,
Right.
and
we needed
it was
to win.
totally
On
worth
their home
it.
field too. On
Yeah,
Ship's
and
home
it was
turf.
even all more better with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's just at that point, we knew, this is it, this is do or die, and we need to win. So
I think the whole idea of us having our backs against the wall at one point really drilled into our brains.
Right.
And they always say athletes have to dig down a little deeper and find a grit and find a big heart. And it's I felt every single person on that field that day and the day we won the PSAC final, everyone played with their hearts, and it was just you left it all out on the field to the point you couldn't even walk off. We were crawling at one point.
Left it,
I mean,
physically, mentally, everything.
Everything was out there. So I can't even explain the feeling
Right.
still.
I know, it's literally surreal, to where we got.
That's awesome.
We were seen as, again, the fly on the wall, not really, not seen to win
Well,
anything.
you sure made your presence felt, and unfortunately, this is going to pain me even to say, we were left out of the NCAA tournament, a glare at whoever made that decision, but we're left out of the NCAA tournament. How much of a disappointment was that after the high of winning the conference?
So,
Please take your time. I know.
I mean, it was probably one of the most disappointing things of my life in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew before, because there was a show that was obviously displayed of who was getting in the tournament, and we knew if certain teams got on there first and we didn't, we knew we were done. But we also knew that we did win a PSAC championship. We did win all 6 games leading up to this opportunity. So, I mean, we had hopes, but we didn't think it was going to go the way it did.
Right.
It was very disappointing.
I think we
I
all
walked
looked at each
into
other.
our coach's office that day to watch the show selection. I had a great day that day. I had good vibes. I woke up
All
and
wore
I
our
was
shirts.
we all wore our shirts to school, and I woke up saying it was a great day to be a Ram, and I literally walked into her office thinking that Sunday, the PSAC final game, was not going to be my last college career game.
Right.
And it was a
either.
slap in the face when it was our name wasn't on the board. And very, very disappointing, but it really does come down to formatting and calculations and math equations. And unfortunately, you do have to have a really good season and to prove that you belong in the NCAA tournament, and the automatic bid situation is even more in question. But
Right, that's where I don't. That's what
it has a lot to do with the way divisions stand, unfortunately. So 1 and 3 have the same criteria, but Division 2 is kind of like the ugly stepsister in the sense that their criteria is different, and it all comes down to that we didn't have as many schools in Division 2, but now we have over 30,
Right.
and automatic bids should now be a possibility for
Right.
our division.
Absolutely.
And
So we hope they make that change for the next
so,
year.
and it really comes down to people, bringing these issues up to the NCAA and to associations like the Coaches Association, and to make things happen, because if coaches start to agree on all this stuff, they can make the possibility and make the change.
Right.
Unfortunately, this probably will never happen again to a team because of how bad. There's also another team in another region who should have gotten into the NCAA tournament, and they didn't. And they won their conference, I believe, as well, and they were 17-2. Their name's Lindenwood, and they had their backs against the wall in this situation too, where they didn't get into the tournament. And it's really, really sad, but we're very lucky because we're actually still going down to Kentucky to play, to play in the senior all-star game.
So congrats to both.
Thank you.
Thank
you. We have another senior going with us too, Mackenzie Milkfee.
Gotcha.
And we're all very excited.
Obviously, our Rams are going to support us.
Obviously, as we already do.
But
hey, we're still leaving with the championship.
we're still leaving.
Exactly,
So,
and that's the thing. That's what we need to be proud of, is that we came home with one of the championships that we thought we deserved, and we proved to the world and to everybody in Division II that Golden Rams can compete, and that we came back as I call it Comeback Kid Nation.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we were definitely.
Couldn't have said it better,
myself, really. I mean, they say there's no moral victories in sports, but I'm looking at a pretty good one right here.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys for stopping by.
Yes,
good luck with
thank you
everything
so
you guys
much.
are doing in life, and we're proud of you. Ram Nation's proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll definitely keep in touch with that senior all-star game.
Oh yeah. All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Awesome. A great conversation with two senior field hockey players. I still think we got snubbed, man.
There's no thinking about it.
Right.
We got snubbed. I would love to see what criteria there is for making the NCAA tournament. I would think winning the hardest division or the hardest conference in
the entire country.
in Division II in the country for field hockey. I would think that holds some merit.
Right.
But I guess it doesn't. So our Lady Rams volleyball team played a back-to-back this past weekend. First, the ladies had a tough loss at a match against Gannon, but recovered nicely with a win over Mercyhurst. Westchester was able to defeat Mercyhurst in straight sets, 25-13, 25-22, and 25-17. The win was a total domination by the purple and gold, as they led Mercyhurst in nearly every category during the match. At the net, it was senior Carly Lutz and Victoria Cruciani who were having their way. Carly Lutz finished with a team-high 10 kills, and Cruciani put her stamp on the game with 8 kills of her own. Behind them, Nikki Yates and Alex Gleason cleaning up the mess, as the ladies had 17 digs and 10 digs respectively. The Lady Rams remain in control of the Southeast Division of the PSAC, as they are 4 games up of the second seed East Stroudsburg. Westchester ends their regular season with 2 road games, playing that second seed East Stroudsburg team, and then the second one against Kutztown to finish out their season. Now, Spencer, while we have a lead, it's only 4 games. There's 3 games left in the season, so a lot would have to happen to lose the #1 spot in that division. But I wouldn't say we're comfortable. Right?
We're definitely not comfortable, especially with this next match against the #2 team right behind us, East Stroudsburg.
Right.
Coming in, I think we spoke to those 2 girls, Cruciani and Lutz, last week here in studio. It's great to see them putting up big numbers like we expected. I think they need to continue. Definitely don't step on the brakes. Don't let off the gas. Just keep attacking and keep going strong.
And what was funny was we talked to them in studio, and they mentioned how important that Gannon game was, right? And I don't know what happened, wasn't able to catch it, but it seems like they lost sight of what they really wanted to do, which was finish out the season on a win.
Right, and now we have those 2 last matches, dude. I think we need to completely come out strong and finish strong.
I agree.
Awesome. So now we're going to switch to a wild but heartbreaking finish at Rockwell Field that resulted in a 5-4 loss in penalty kicks for our men's soccer team. Westchester led in overall shots against East Stroudsburg 12-11 and had the advantage in shots on target 4-3. The game was deadlocked at scoreless after the second overtime, which meant the match was going to be decided from the penalty stripe. Westchester found themselves with a golden opportunity with penalty kicks tied at 4. However, a save by East Stroudsburg goalkeeper Stephen Robach gave the Warriors a little more life. East Stroudsburg converted their kick, and Robach registered another clutch save, and the Golden Rams would lose and be eliminated as the #1 overall seed and in the first round of the PSAC tournament for the 2nd straight year. The men, however, turned right around and looked to get revenge as they played that same East Stroudsburg Warriors team in the first round of the NCAA tournament this weekend. Dude, obviously on the mind, it's full revenge. We haven't played a game since then. East Stroudsburg went on to win the men's soccer tournament. What do you think is our mindset? It's obvious, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say going into this weekend.
It's funny because if I was the coach or if I was part of that team, I would embrace the revenge type mindset. That's a little motivator, a little chip on your shoulder. I mean, losing in the first round as the #1 seed already puts a little chip on your shoulder. But if I get to face the team that ousted me in my conference tournament, if I can be the one to oust them in the first round of the NCAA tournament, that's the revenge I'm looking for.
And it's a much bigger deal. I mean, don't get me wrong, PSAC tournament's a huge deal, but now this is the NCAAs, man. This is the entire country looking at this game as a complete revenge. I think we go in with the same game plan with a little more amped up aspect of what we want to do. I think we hopefully get a win.
I mean, it's at home too, and
Right?
we
Like we just said.
can't stress enough the home field advantage that we keep getting for these Westchester teams, but it keeps not working out.
Right,
And
completely
I'm
agree.
looking for one team to really take that home field advantage and run with it, because it's right there for us.
And hopefully it's our men's soccer team.
That's
Hopefully.
right. Well, now we step over to Connor Sodak, who's standing by with our men's basketball team. Take it away, Connor.
I'm here with Coach Damian Blair of the men's basketball team down here at South Campus rather than Hollinger Fieldhouse. This kind of kicks off my first question, Coach. You guys are starting your first span of home games over at Widener University due to some renovations to good old Hollinger Fieldhouse. Do you feel that will affect the team early on at all?
Well, I hope it doesn't affect the team, but you know, it is what it is, and the guys have been great about dealing with the adjustment, and it's not a renovation. There was some damage to the gym floor, and they had to rip it out, and it's in the process of getting fixed now. Hopefully we don't have to spend too many games at Widener, but the guys have been great as far as dealing with the adjustments.
Coach, you have been able to reach the PSAC championship game for the past 3 years with teams you've coached. Do you feel like this team can have the same success with the players you have right now?
We would hope so. Last year we were unfortunate enough to make it to the PSAC finals, but 3 out of the last 5 years we were able to make it, and this group I think has the ability to do that, but they have to come together and they have to do all the things the right way in order to get there.
And you have a lot of seniors departing from last year's squad. What players do you think can step up and take over that leadership role for this team in 2017?
Yeah, well, Matt Pennicow has been here with us for 3 years now. Jackson Highlands has been here for 3 years, and Terrell has been here for 4. So they're going to have to take the brunt of that responsibility and teach these young guys what it takes to win in this league.
Last question for you, Coach. Thanks again for joining us. So this team that you have last year, how does it compare, or this year, how does it compare to teams you've had in the past and the successful seasons you've been able to have?
That's interesting because I think this team is a lot different than the teams that we've had in the past. They do a much better job of sharing the ball. They play really well together on the defensive end, and they shoot it better than some of the teams that we've had in the past. And, defense wins championships, but you got to score to win games. So hopefully these guys will knock down a lot of shots throughout the course of the year.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
I'm here with Terrell Long, one of the seniors on this year's men's basketball team. How you doing today, Terrell?
I'm doing good.
As a senior this year, what kind of responsibilities do you have as being one of the team leaders going into 2017-2018 season?
As a leader, I have to know what coach expects and relay it to my teammates, relay it to the freshmen, get everybody acclimated, keep the chemistry together, and pick up the defensive chemistry.
And what are some of your more personal goals to accomplish this year as a player?
I just want a championship. That's it.
That's it? What are some good strengths of this team, and along with that, some weaknesses as well?
Weaknesses, I would say, pick up our defensive concepts more and trust our coach and his philosophies. Strengths, I would say, offensive rebounding and shooting.
And final question for you, Terrell. How far do you see this team going this year? What are some expectations you guys have?
Our expectations are really high. We expect to go make a run in the PSAC tournament, hopefully make history, then make a run at the national title, then win 4 championships and come home.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Terrell. I love your enthusiasm. Have a good rest of practice. That was head coach Damian Blair of the men's basketball team, along with one of the senior leaders, Terrell Long. They will start out the season against Wesley College over at Widener University in the Schwartz Center due to renovations to Hollinger Fieldhouse. They'll look to build on the success they've had with previous years and hopefully get to another PSAC championship game. For RamCenter, I'm Connor Sodak reporting.
Hey Rams, Jocelyn Baker here with your weekly pro sports update. It was an exhilarating Week 9 in the NFL, starting off with Sunday's Rams vs. Giants showdown. The LA Rams showed off their stellar offensive effort, scoring within the first moments of the game. Rams dictated the game from the start, leaving the Giants' defense in the dust. LA quarterback Jared Goff set a career high with 4 touchdown passes, yet another win for the Rams, the score 51-17. Sunday's Eagles vs. Broncos game was also a high-scoring game. Colorado began the game with Brandon McManus's 52-yard field goal, but the Philadelphia Eagles quickly claimed their turf with back-to-back touchdown passes from quarterback Wentz. Philadelphia was determined to continue their winning streak as they played their last home game for a while, and win they did with a score of 51-23. Following the Eagles' victory was Sunday night's most anticipated game, the Cowboys vs. the Redskins. Last week, Cowboys' Ezekiel Elliott was to start his 6-game suspension, but it was reprieved again. This would aid Dallas in their win over the crumbling Chiefs, a score of 28-17. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics are having a phenomenal season so far, even with the loss of a few key players such as forward Gordon Hayward due to a few injuries. Wednesday's victory over the LA Lakers placed them at the #1 standing seed in the league with a 10-game winning streak. Star point guard Kyrie Irving, who was traded from the Cavaliers, is naturally good at his game, blowing past Lakers defenders with ease and leading them to a 107-96 win. The Sixers continue to dazzle the court with their 5th win in a row over the Jazz this past Tuesday. This would be their longest winning streak since the 2011-2012 season. The energy remained high even without rookie Joel Embiid on the road. Forward Dario Saric stepped up, scoring 25 points along with 10 rebounds and 1 assist. Philadelphia 104, Utah 97. The Detroit Pistons are off to a fierce start with a record of 8-3. This being their best start to a season since the 08-09 season. Their most recent win was Wednesday night's game against the Indiana Pacers, which showed off Pistons' Andre Drummond's skills as he had a double-double. The Pacers gave it their best attempt to take back the game after trailing behind the first 2 quarters, but it wouldn't be enough as Detroit came back out on top with a 114-97 win. This past Tuesday, November 7th, we lost former Philadelphia Phillies award-winning pitcher Roy Halladay. Roy was flying his plane, a hobby in which he enjoyed most after retiring from the MLB back in 2013, when the plane unexpectedly crashed in the Gulf of Mexico. Roy was iconic for throwing a perfect game back in 2010 with the Phillies. He was admired by many for his genuine personality, an all-around good guy who will truly be missed. Here at RamCenter, I'm Jocelyn Baker. Over to Sarah with This Day in Sports.
On November 10th, 1975, there was the NFL record crowd of 102 and 369 during the 49ers versus Rams game in LA. Big crowd. In addition, on November 10th, 1991, Bernie Kosar entered the NFL record of 308 passes without a single interception. What a guy. With This Day in Sports, I'm Sarah Schwartz. Back to Spencer and James in the studio.
Thank you, Sarah. A great This Day in Sports. And really quick, I want to give a shout out to our women's cross country team who had a very impressive showing and a record-setting finish at the national race. Although no one really ranked and no one placed, it was still just a great showing by our girls.
Absolutely. You have to give them credit, too, because they've been battling all season at a tough PSAC cross country region. And that the finish the record high in the NCAA's, dude, in the national race, I guess. Yeah, absolutely.
And I know personally, there's a lot of girls on that cross country team who are track runners and sprinters who converted to cross country to, one, give the cross country team a little help, and 2, give themselves a little more workout and a little experience. And for them to do that in their first year, nothing short of amazing.
Amazing. A great Ram excellence.
Like
always. Well, hey, that's all for this episode of RamCenter. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at WCU RamCenter. Remember to smack that like button on our WCU RamCenter Facebook page. As always, I'm Spencer McKercher.
And I'm James Jackson. Stay golden, Dub C. We'll see you again next week.
Welcome to